Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to Horus and Seth. So yeah, we have a few things to catch up on. One was the hieratic of line 5, I think you said, Aaron, that we didn't get to last time, and there was also a grammar point which is in line 5. Let's do both. Let's start with the hieratic, I'd say. Okay, and I hope this is big enough. So we start from when in, is that right?
Yep.
Okie doke. So Wernin Jorge, how to pronounce this puppy again? I forgot. To construct.
Maja.
Oh yeah, right.
Majach.
Majech with a second H here. So that's kind of well, that's a neat glyph. I can see that. Whatever those little extra strokes at the back are, it's probably not two. Why would it be? Doesn't have a T in it. So that's a little bit nebulous what that's supposed to be. Um, Then Naf to him, Wa, one, again, all familiar. That this is pronounced Acha, I guess we only know from context. That was the boat, so he built himself a boat. He built it out of cedar wood, or cedar wood, however you want to pronounce it. Just of plural strokes for the boat, which I think, Jonathan, you had pointed out that it's kind of weird that it's one boat with plural strokes. So is it a fleet? I think it's just a single boat, just from context. But it is a bit confusing because normally he doesn't put plural strokes on a single boat. So
Yeah,
a bit
because
odd.
God's told him to build ships of stone,
Right,
not a boat of
right.
stone.
I mean, yeah, there's no article here. I mean, it says wa. But then if you take it as a collective, then wa could also be one collective of boats, right? I don't know. From context, I think it's one, but I can't give you a definitive answer, honestly. It's a good point. This is kind of odd with the strokes. Um, so cedar. Let's see, what do we have here? We have that funny little thingy. Do we need to look at the tree? I mean, it looks almost like an H, but with an extra stroke at the side. Maybe we take a quick look at it. I have no idea what the glyph number is, though. If anybody had that, would be great. Here we go. What would you be? Alle Kodierungen anzeigen. That's going to be a ton. I'm just going to search for it. Tree, where are you? M1. Well, that's easy. Interesting. So it has that H-like shape from very early on. That is not what I expected, to be honest. And none of those really look like ours, does it? Is there more? Oh, there's a ligature. Let's look at that one too. Ah, that's more like it. That was more what I was expecting with like this. Oh, so that thing is actually the chet, the Coptic sh, the wood basically, or shay, I should say, not sh. This is sort of what I was expecting. Something that looks more like a little squiggly thingy here, and then with a stroke through it. I never realized that stroke is actually this. You see that a lot for trees. And now I know where it comes from. Okay, kind of cool. So the tree by itself, according at least to Acupal, is this. Interesting. This looks fairly involved. Tuck, 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 tuck. Okay, all right. I think this is what you're more commonly seeing in text, though. So let's go back to our text, unless there are questions. Well, then, if that is true, and this is a ligature, but here's our U, what is this? This is clearly the tree. This is clearly the chet again. So the transcription is correct. That's the way that you write it, like a little loop up here, and then like a big triangle at the bottom. That's normally how you write the chet, the wood sign. So, apparently then the combo replaces the regular tree. I'm just freestyling here. I just knew that this was the tree. Never realized that could be a ligature. I always thought this here was the bottom part of the tree, honestly. Oh well, learn something new. You said, no, not said, sec Ka, Seka. Okay. The S is clear, the Q is clear. This part is not. What's going on here? Oh, that's our Seka. Now I got it. I think. Wait. I'm a bit confused by this, to be honest.
Wait, where is the Q?
The Q is this, the thing that looks almost like a tombstone.
Oh, okay.
If you look like,
Thank you.
if you look like in a middle kingdom hand, this part would be much flatter. But then the more and more you get to the Ramessides, the signs in general become taller and like slimmer. And the Q is like one extreme example. It really becomes like, if you look in text, it becomes like this really tall top hat thingy. That's what you have here.
Got it. Thank you.
For the biliteral afterwards, it's kind of hard to see, but that's the front end. That should be there. That makes sense. Oh, and then this is okay. Now I got it. This is just the cursive Aleph bird. It looks a little bit like legs with a smudge curve on top. That's what threw me off initially, but no, that's just this here. Like start that way and then finish off the Aleph that way. That makes sense. And then
Oh, that actually looks like an Aleph, though, doesn't it?
this
I
one
mean,
here.
how to write an Aleph, yes.
Oh, like a Hebrew Aleph.
like
You're
a
right.
Greek.
Yeah, or an English one, for that matter. Like
Yeah, it looks like a
just
Greek
looks-
alpha.
Oh, you're right, a little bit. You're right. You're right. Didn't even occur to me, but you're right. I mean, here's how it starts out. Ugh, sorry. Let me just do it down here. Hope you can see.
No relation, though.
No, well, no relation. You're right. So this is how you do it in like Old Kingdom or early Middle Kingdom hieratic, and then over time it becomes this thing. You can see that essentially we're getting rid of the head here, and then this part gets exaggerated, and then the front, the chest, and the leg. That's essentially what you get. That's the Aleph bird. And then in combinations, like for example with an N on top, you can further simplify it. So you get like the ligature of N and Aleph bird essentially looks like this, almost like plural strokes. That's how it looks in our document. And so that's what that is actually. That's just the Aleph bird.
But actually, I saw a program about the Hebrews got the alpha, the Aleph, from the Egyptians, and
Yes,
that's how
They did.
they're writing. So you're
That's
saying
correct.
this is a complete coincidence that this looks like.
But it was from the Ka sign, which is a bull with horns, that
Oh.
was used to acrophonically to spell out the Semitic language word for a bull or for a cow, which was something like Allah for Allah or something. So they used the symbol, what the symbol represented, in the Semitic in their Semitic language, not in ancient Egyptian. So they saw this symbol of a bull head, and they
Yeah,
thought, oh,
yeah,
that's an
I've seen
aleph,
that.
or that's a cow. They didn't care or know what it was, how it was pronounced in Egyptian. And so if you think of an upside down A, that still vaguely resembles a cow or a bull with horns, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, we got it up there.
Here we go. Hang on. Why can't I get rid of
there
my
you go.
annotations? Bear with me. Clear all doodlings. Here we go. So little deviation as one does. So yeah, just like Ben was saying, the same cow glyph that you have in Egyptian, but applied with supposedly the Semitic value. Honestly, I'm not familiar with that word for ox, but then again, my Hebrew is rudimentary. It's easier to see for the beta, because it is a house. So that is kind of neat, and that's a word that I do recognize because it's in all Semitic languages, basically. Some of those, honestly, for example, gamma, gamil, throw stick, I think these are contested. Not all of them are actually firmly identified. But yeah, that's supposedly how it happened. Use individual glyphs, but use them with the Semitic sound value. That's how, for example, the ein doesn't become an ein in the Proto-Sinaitic alphabet, but it becomes a yota, a yad for hand. And I apologize that I can't make this bigger, or maybe I can. There you go. Much better.
And the Greeks also played a role with this as well. So the the Greeks inherited adapted the alphabet from the Phoenician alphabet, which was really not an alphabet. It was more an abjad, so like just a consonant prioritizing script, like Hebrew, Arabic. So you can see the Phoenician on the right as the Phoenician aleph, which is just looks like an A on the side. The Greeks actually rotated it so that it would, and used it only as a vowel, not as a placeholder or a consonant for a glottal stop. So that's one thing. And also another neat thing is that the X shape and also the T are actually, my understanding is that they're related to they're inherited from so that X shape becomes a T because it's kind of like a crossbar, but there's some versions of the Greek alphabet, of early local Greek alphabets, that inherited that as a Chi. So there is some kind of variation in early Greek inscriptions with that. And the Phoenician alphabet got realized differently in different places. Some people think that it went from Egyptian to Phoenician, and the Phoenician to Greek, and then from Greek to Latin, and then Etruscan, but other people think it might have been sort of the Phoenicians went all over the Mediterranean and it interacted with different civilizations, and their alphabet was a commodity that they that other civilizations adopted from them. So, or their writings, their script, that then was realized as an alphabet by a lot of people. So there's an idea that the Etruscans, the Greeks, and the ancient Italic-speaking people of Italy all, so later the Romans, all adapted it independently, or there's some sort of cultural overlap. It's kind of it's a difficult area to figure out. A lot of people have very strong opinions about it too. So
that is true.
Anyway.
You always get into nut job territory, unfortunately, when you deal with national identity and
unfortunately,
things like the alphabet. Oh yeah. No, but great summary. Thank you. And yeah, there's some great Wikipedia articles on that if you want to dig into it more deeply. There is an article just on archaic Greek alphabets and the different sound values, which are not necessarily the same, and how we lost some of the signs, etc. It's absolutely fascinating.
they're arranged, but they're actually color coded. So there's one term is epichoric scripts or epichoric alphabets, and there's a sense of like one way of studying them is one set are considered red alphabets and one set are considered blue alphabets, and there's a lot of information on that on Wikipedia how they categorize it. Because epichoric meaning they're depends on the Horus, the location where the alphabet was spoken. So some city states, because they're all independent, they realized the Phoenician alphabet differently in their own before it was standardized later. So anyway, it's a really like intense topic. There's a lot of different areas to go just with that.
So with regard to the Egyptian, it's completely irrelevant that looks like an aleph.
You mean
yes, with our text, yes, but it is a really nice coincidence, I think, because it does look like an alpha or a letter A. Especially in medieval manuscripts, it's not related at all. Right. That's what I was saying. It's no relation. It's just a nice coincidence.
Indeed. Wasn't there that one video that talks about evolution, basically says everything evolves into crabs just over time? That's
yeah, I've heard that. They've been around for a while, like arthropods, but like still have a lot of other types of creatures.
Google, get back to the Egyptian. Back to the Egyptian.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Google it up when you have time. It's actually just a 10-minute thing. It's quite humorous. In any case, and informative. So yeah, we got to our hand with a stick, F, M, K. So basically what he's doing is he's plastering his boat with plaster or gypsum or whatever you want to call it. Ka-cha. That's the stone thingy here. I guess that's how you do it. Efra, here's the Fa again. Efra, so he placed it, the boat. This is really what makes me think it's a single boat, because he places it where Erpamo in the water, Mteri or Mter, and Rucha. I think none of these should give us any trouble because we've seen them all before. This is a bit tricky. There seems to be some kind of ligature here of the W and the Y, maybe. Or maybe it's just because the photo isn't high enough resolution. It's just a little bit smudgy. I don't know. To me, it looks sort of like these two are linked together. but I could be wrong about that. The night sky at the end of it, just a line with some kind of nuja underneath. Or maybe it's I mean, hard to say. There are both variants. Is that it could be the star, actually, now that I think about it. This could be sort of like an approximation of the star, if that makes sense. The stars are normally drawn like, well, thusly, something like that, with a very long top. And then again, that could also be read like a nu, right? Like a nu hanging down from the sky. So kind of hard to say which one of the two it is.
I think it probably obscures some of those parallel strokes for the Y, or for the
This year,
ligature there. Yeah, because there's so much going on with the star that it could easily overlap with that and make that area look kind of confusing.
it could. We'd have to look up like the really high resolution photos of this, but I think for the moment we're good enough. Even though it's the night sky, it gets, because it's a time marker or a time word, it gets it out at the end. So then that still belongs to it. And then we come to the area where we got stuck grammatically last time. You, none. So the like shoulder shrug arms, I don't know, the negation arms, they look like this at this point in time, just like a little stroke or dot on top of a flat line. So this is clearly none. You, none, Peter, pore in Coptic, to see. Well, no, in Coptic, I think it now means something like to dream. That's an interesting semantic change. What am I saying? In any case, so nen, Peter, set. This is reasonably clear, even though the papyrus is broken. Set, remich, or rome, nib, or nim, enti, pa, ta. Oh, there's a lot going on. Let's see. Pa, aleph bird, ta. Ta looks like a horizontal line with basically like a Y underneath. That's the 3 strokes. And then the determinative stroke and some squiggle, which is our N, whatever, N23, N21. I always forget.
23.
N27, 23. Thank you. Awesome. Somebody knows the numbers. I always struggle with that. Jedef, with a really long F. So I think the hieratic is reasonably clear. The only thing I wanted to point out is last time we got stuck on this construction. You, nen, Peter, Peter set remich. Why did we get stuck on it? This year to see plus remich nib, any person, that's a sejm F, very clearly. So this is a sejm F form. Let me write this out. That sentence actually is eu, nen, Peter, set, remich, nib. So this here is like the direct object as a dependent pronoun, a causative object for our Roman trained friends, which basically in this here then has to be the subject of the sentence, which then basically means this here has to be a finite verb. That has to be essentially a sejm F form. The subject comes after the direct object because it is pronominal. If it had been, there was nobody to see the boat, it would be Yunen Pecher Emich Nib, his boat, for example, Paif, Aha. Okay, so it really, this here is a sejm F form. And then the question becomes, why is it after nen? We haven't seen that before. If you wanted to say nobody sees the boat is basically burn, it's of course a first present. So you would use burn, you would su as the he sees, and then the infinitive with a suffix pronoun. That would be like for present tense. Past tense, you would use the bupui form that we discussed in the late Egyptian class. So it would be bupuif. He doesn't see it, or he doesn't see the boat. Okay. None of that is what this is. This is a nen with a sejm F. In Middle Egyptian, this is common for like a negative future. He will not see, but this is not Middle Egyptian. And then eventually, I mean, not going to dwell on this any longer, after trying out a few different things, eventually found this thing. A note in Junge. Where did it go? Bear with me. He calls it a negated vetitive. So negated, let's see, nen sejm F, sejm. Here we go. No, that's man. Here we go. Vetitive. EU plus nen sejm ek. Vetitive, so forbidding form. I'm not sure I absolutely like that. I would rather call it a negative perspective. And he gives one example, namely this sentence from the Tale of the Two Brothers. Ich pike eat sai. What is this going or coming? What is this coming of yours? Herbut. There should be an E afterwards, to kill me. That would be hotwe in Coptic. So what is this coming of yours after me to kill, supplement me? Gerek, unjustly is how he translates it here. That makes sense, literally in lie, in falsehood, in Gerek. Now comes the sentence. Iu nen sejmek roi hermedud. Without basically having... without you listening to my mouth upon speaking or something like that. So without listening to what I have to say. It's the same construction. You, nun, and then a finite verb form, namely sejm ek in this case. And that's exactly what we're looking at. So I'm, as you can probably tell, somewhat excited about it. Seems to be a rare form. Didn't find another example quickly, but at least we have a try. So we have it here, and we have it in the Tale of the Two Brothers. So basically, that is a thing. It's not an error or something, or something unexplained. So I wanted to pass that on.
It reminds me a little bit of having a subordinate clause within a subordinate clause that is specially marked. I'm not sure if that's something that Egyptian really does. Latin and Greek do that a lot. Like where you'll have like a special form of the subjunctive or in Latin, or you'll have an optative in Greek. When you have, for example, a relative clause with an indirect statement, and we'll often have an optative, that sort of thing. Sometimes you'll have a mood change that happens. So maybe using a venitive after sounds kind of like a purpose clause is something that is marking that in terms of with an unusual form that works in that sense. I don't know. Just wanted to put that out there, that maybe that's one reason why that form is used.
I mean, that's the next good question. When do you use this thing? With a sample base of 2. I mean, what the 2 have in common is it's sort of like an irreal situation, right? You're saying you're explaining something that has not happened. That's why I don't like the name vetitive, because, I mean, okay, you could say to prohibit that something were to happen, maybe, but that doesn't fit in the example of the Two Brothers. In the example of the Two Brothers, it's more like without you having considered something. I don't know. It reminds me more of those sentences of existence, honestly, like without there being a you're seeing it, like Middle Egyptian, but I honestly don't know. I'm just glad I found it. I'm not going to go into the exegesis, how it came about.
No worries. It sounds pretty existential, the whole concept of that. So cool.
Right. So now with that being said, I've been yakking enough. Who wants the first sentence?
I can try.
All right.
So it's
Sounds good.
AHN, AHN set.
That's right.
Herr Petri,
Mhm.
Pa Aha, and Hor.
And Horus, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Horus, yeah, you're right.
And EUF Herr Jed Inder. Is it just RF?
That's right. Let's stop
Okay.
here, maybe.
So then Seth, upon seeing the ship or the boat of Horus,
mhm,
and he said, inner is stone.
Stone. Mhm.
Stone towards him. That doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
I'm with you. I don't know what that F does. Does anybody have an explanation for that? I mean, you have it right. He said stone towards it. Why towards it? I don't know. Still the two brothers. I take suggestions if anybody has any.
I mean, it could be regarding it, but it's weird English.
And it's also weird Egyptian because
Yeah.
regarding it normally would be ikraf, like with a khur, second age khur, about something. Although that could also mean because of it.
Well, I'm guessing it says it is stone because he believes it is to be stone. So
Right.
that's what I mean.
I mean, the
So
meaning is kind of clear, right?
in what it's called in relation to this object, it is stone.
I
Yeah.
think so. That
Like
makes
he said stone in regards to it,
maybe that's it, huh?
which
Could
is
be.
just weird. Again, weird English, but
It is. Let's just see if Ellie says anything about it by any chance. And he does. He does not. Okay. Yeah. That it was of stone is just what he says here. All right. Let's run with it. I'll chalk it up under weirdness. Well, great job. Somebody want to continue the second half?
I can take it.
All right.
EUF Shemet, Erpad Jew, EUF Shad, Wa Taha. I don't know that word.
It's actually Dechen. It's spelled in a weird way. It's a cliff, or also I think it's also listed as front. But in this case, cliff fits much better. So should be Dechen without an aleph, but somehow he has an aleph in there.
And does the word go all the way through the stone glyph determinative?
Yes, I think so. Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense then. Dehen and Jew,
Mhm.
EUF Majah, NF Wa'aha, and Iner. So, and he went to the mountain and he, I'm assuming, cut or
Cut.
quarried maybe?
Boiled or
Cut.
maybe just cut.
Okay, and he cut the cliff,
Mhm.
okay, of the mountain, and he fashioned for himself a boat of stone.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, for the cliff, I also saw it in another text. It was as a, how do I say it in English? Promontory? Where does the stress go?
Oh, promontory.
Promontory. So this is a substantial cliff of stone, basically, as gods do. I mean, he sees that Horus's boat is made out of stone. He's going to do him one better. He chops off a whole mountaintop because why not? And he makes himself a stone boat, and not any stone boat, but a stone boat.
Oh yeah, why did I stop reading? I saw red and I stopped reading.
Right.
The opposite of a bowl. A boat of stone. God, I can't remember. 138 cubits of 138 cubits.
Fair enough. What's 100? She in
Shet?
Coptic. I think is it Shet or
Shet?
Het? Is it Shet or Het? I forgot.
Shet hemu? No, Maba. Hemu.
Maab.
It's Maba.
Oh, Maba. Okay.
Maba
Hemanu?
Hemanu. There we go.
There we go.
Something like that.
Something like that. Of cubits, which is how many meters? Or yards?
Cubits that.
Right. Half a meter, actually.
Okay.
So let's see, 150.
38. So 60, half a meter, you said? Keep it as half a meter?
Mm-hmm.
38. Help me. 60, what?
65 plus 64 plus like 69, I guess, like almost 70
69.
meters. Yeah.
Okay.
So almost 70 meters. It's substantial. 70 meters, 70 yards. That's a fairly large sized boat. So yeah, that's what he makes for
Sorry,
himself.
sorry to be stupid. Am I missing something? You can't. There's no such thing as a boat of stone, is there?
Funny enough, there is one in a Chinese palace, which the Empress Dowager made, but it's just a partying space basically. It's like something on a lake to it got her a lot of ire because the conservatives at the time said, oh no, not the conservatives, the part of the elites at the time said we should be making boats against the foreigners and not stone boats for pleasure parties in the palace. But I digress. That is 18.
Are they making stone boats because they're gods?
Honestly, that's a really interesting discussion because so I wonder, just throwing it out there. One option would be that Seth proposes this, right? He says after his defeat with that whole assault thing and then that all went sideways, he basically says, okay, we're going to have a test of strength or skill. We're going to make each other boats, and the one who gains on the other, basically, he's the one who will be getting the office of the ruler. That was Seth's original proposal. Now, it would make sense to me if the story would be, or if the story were, they're making themselves boats. Horus, by like an Odysseus kind of ruse, makes his look like stone, and then Seth falls for it. But that's not what happens. Seth already says from the very beginning, we're going to make ourselves boats of stone. So now I wonder, is that a later interpolation where the scribe is just anticipating a detail that shouldn't come up so early? So is it like a continuity error in the story? Option number one. That would make some sense to me. Option number two, however, when the whole thing fails, we're going to get there in a moment, or maybe next time. Basically, Seth is attacking Horus after the boats, of course, or his boat inevitably sinks. So now I'm wondering if the whole thing was a ruse by Seth all along, who just get in the water and duke it out again. I don't know. But yeah, there is something there, Rebecca. I agree. I also put a big question mark in my mind on why on earth is he proposing stone boats? This doesn't make any sense at all.
I just wondered whether it was something to do with the Titanic, or they hadn't discovered that you can't make boats of stone or steel.
Or maybe gods can, but like Seth is going to show in a moment, he cannot.
I have a thought about this in reference to the Finnish national epic, the Kalevala. There's maybe the concept of stone is a reference to a hard wood. The idea of, I mean, it doesn't literally say that, but maybe the idea of like it's intensifying the contest, because it sounds kind of like an epithet concept of like having a boat that's made out of stone to show that it's to demonstrate how these are, like you said, these are gods who are interacting with a very difficult to work with material, to kind of exaggerate as like an adjective epithet how intense the material, how difficult to work with the material is of making a boat out of stone. No human could do that.
But they wouldn't use they wouldn't use a cliff if it was a wood, would they?
That's right.
Exactly, yeah. Like they take out a quarry basically out of the cliff to create these boats. And I was thinking with the Kalevala, there's a part where when Van Wijn has this whole situation where he has to basically make a boat he's always trying to like marry different princesses, and they infamously go wrong because he's a very old man who's also an immortal. And so every time he tries to marry a princess, there's always a catch, like there's a competition or something. And one of them, the competitions involves he has to make a boat. And he ends up cutting himself while building the boat because he has to make it out of a single piece of wood with very limited tools. And he's so tired that he actually like hits himself in the knee with an axe and has to like get the sidetrack to find the origin of iron to order to like heal himself while he's like bleeding out. And there's like a rush of blood covering all the land. It's like very gross.
Back to the Egyptian.
Sorry.
So yeah, there's something here. What exactly? I'm not sure. I'm looking at the clock. We just hit the full hour. Should we break here and continue here next time? Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. But yeah, I'm wondering if there's another version of that story, basically, that elucidates a little bit what the genesis of that motif was. Basically, why do you build a boat of stone? I'm not sure if there's more.
Yeah.
Would be interesting because some of this Horus and Seth stuff goes all the way back to the pyramid text. I mean, it's already some of it is mentioned there. The front of Horus and some other part of Seth. I mean, there's some allusions already made to that quarrel between the two gods. So I'm wondering.
You know if there are commentaries on this in Egyptian? Like ancient commentaries, like traditions of scholars debating about what this means or how we should use it.
I don't think so. I don't think in Egyptian. But what there is, for example, you do have Ptolemaic times. You do have like a sort of like a temple play. It's sort of like instructions how to present the whole thing. I mean, there's more than this one text. There's another papyrus. There has another version of the story. There are Ptolemaic inscriptions that have it. There are references to it all over the place. So I don't think we have the benefit of like a scholarly critique in Demotic or something. It would be cool. I'm not sure it doesn't exist, but I've not seen one. Let's put it this way. There is a PhD thesis, however, on Seth, the misunderstood god or something, and I've downloaded it and I've not read it yet. So that would be a good place to look, probably, because it has the whole Seth story. So you would think maybe if there's like something like you're suggesting, something like this in for example in Demotic or even in Greek, maybe he lists it. I'll take a look. It's an interesting question.
Nope. So maybe it's just in some library or university's basement and hasn't been translated yet. You never know. Or maybe
Yeah.
it's still in Egypt under the sand somewhere and hasn't been excavated. It's always finding new fragments. Kind of
It could
exciting.
be.
Sorry for the digression there. I feel I sparked you all off with the stone thing.
No, I
Oh
think
yeah, I'm sorry that I got us all off track with the Kalevala and stuff. I just get excited about talking about mythology and stuff. So thank you guys for your patience. Hopefully we can get more done next time. That's great.
We'll definitely have to look at the hieratic at the beginning of next time because I love hieratic numbers. They're so weird. I'm looking forward to digging into that.
you know what? Can prepare that like an overview, because that's an interesting point, actually. Let's look at that together next time, how they are written. There's one document, the papyrus Ebers, the medical papyrus, which has an insane amount of like columns. I think it's going up to 100, if not beyond. And since each column is numbered in hieratic, you can actually see them in sequence, which is actually super neat. So yeah, we can take a look at that.
And there's the mathematical papyrus with all the triangles
well.
and figures in it as well. So I think it's the Rhine mathematical. Yeah.
Yep, that's one. There are multiple. Papyrus Moscow
Rind,
as
sorry.
well. Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure how the I is pronounced in that one. Is it Rind? Is it Rind? Papyrus. Jesus. That's the problem when you only see stuff on paper. So
Yeah.
Like the Simpsons
Weird.
episode where Marge says, "Run like the wind." They say it's wind. She says, "I've only ever seen it written down."
that is very true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was listening to, there was a presentation, well, on a nearby language, not Egyptian, on YouTube, and the speaker kept saying, what did he say?
I've heard
So like
sword a lot. Pretty common.
a sword is very common, you're right. And he was saying things like accompany instead of accompany, reading the Y's at the end always like a diphthong. It's so weird,
I
but
heard someone say paradigm once.
paradigm is, oh, that's good.
That's a heartbreaker.
I
Or
dig that.
paradigm.
I dig that. Paradigm. Oh, nice. Don't feed the paradigms. They're past.
Don't want them after midnight, especially.
Say again.
Don't feed the paradigms after midnight.
Right. Oh my God.
Silly.
Bring back Christian. I thought he was good at digressing.
Right.
Sorry.
So, Ben, you've been fully vindicated. It is the papyrus rind because the gentleman is called rind. And I've been saying it wrong for well over 20 years. So there you
Oh,
go.
good old-fashioned IPA right there. Good.
Yeah. I mean, what would we do without Wikipedia? All right, guys. I'm going to leave it on that, but I'll prepare something on the numbers next time. Should be fun.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.